Hi guys, it's Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Today's video is going to be my October reading wrap up, and I finished I think 13. Sorry, that yawn beat me to the end of my sentence. I have 13 books that I read in the month of October. Actually, this kind of goes all the way through maybe the last week of September, just because I typically film my video the last week of the month. But you guys know my whole spiel of me trying to get caught up with videos, so I may have read more than 4 weeks. Maybe this is like 5 weeks worth of books. So anyway, I'm just gonna get started. I am going to start with 3 nonfiction books first, just so I can get them out of the way really fast. I am doing something called 75 Hard, and it's a mental toughness challenge. It's a physical challenge, but also mental. There's different components that you have to meet in order to get credit for each day, and there's actually an app, and you submit each component every day. If you miss something, you fail and you have to start all over again. One of those components is to read, actually physically read. Audiobooks do not count. You have to read 10 pages of a nonfiction book. And so I have kind of like self-help books, I guess you can say, but the person that I heard it from said it had to be like self-improvement books. But according to the website, when I looked at it, it said just any kind of nonfiction book. So you have to read 10 pages. So I was able to finish 3 books this month of October. I finished one towards the end of September, like after I had done my September wrap up. And then these 2 are very small books, so I read both of them in October. So I just want to talk about these really quick. The first one that I finished in September but was not part of my wrap up is Job by Charles Swindoll. I love these mini series, or I don't know if they're called series, but from Charles Swindoll. They're from different characters of the Bible, and this is a study on Job's life. I really enjoyed it. I started, this is the first book that I started when I started that challenge. And with that challenge, I started training for my marathon. And so I was going through a lot of stress, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This is too hard. This is too much. And if you know the story of Job from the Bible, he suffered probably the most after second to Jesus, I guess, in his life when God tested him. Was testing his faithfulness. So it's a study on Job's life and how we can learn from him in, by not giving up when we were going through hard stuff. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend any of the books. I think Esther's probably like my second favorite after Job. Esther's used to be my favorite, but now Job's my favorite one. But yeah, these books from Charles Swindoll are really good. Then a book that I didn't like is Peaceful on Purpose by Joel Osteen. I did not like this book at all. I gave it 3 stars because I finished it, but I didn't like his writing style. I didn't like how he presented his message. First of all, this is supposed to be a book about how we're supposed to talk, I guess, like positive purpose on our lives. And we have to just trust in God, saying that everything's gonna be all right. But he made it seem like you just have to be like positive and good things are gonna happen to you. And then when he was quoting scripture, he would just paraphrase. I'm so used to, if I'm reading a book kind of like this, that it'll give you like the Bible verse on parentheses, or it'll give you like a note where you can go towards the back of the book. But this one didn't do that. So you kind of just have to take him at his word that he's quoting the right scripture and that he's quoting it right. And there was also no introduction, no conclusion. You just kind of hit the ground running, and then all of a sudden the book's over. So yeah, I did not like this book. I don't recommend it. It's the first book that I've read from Joel Osteen, but if all his books are like this, then I'm not interested in reading any of his other books. Then the last book that I have finished during the 75 Hard Challenge is Powerful Thinking by Joyce Meyer. I do like Joyce Meyer a lot. She is very practical in her message, and this is just another, I've read a lot of books about, mental toughness. So I guess I'm gonna roll there. And this book, I really enjoyed it because she does take her time. There is an introduction, there's a conclusion, there are it's kind of like a study book, because there's questions at the end of each chapter where you can answer if you want. It's more of an interactive study on being having positive mindset, as opposed to the one from Joel Osteen where you just have to like take his word for it, you know. I really enjoyed it. This is my second book from Joyce Meyer, and I would be interested in reading more from her. I think the other one that I read from her is Battlefield of the Mind or something like that. And I really did enjoy it. My favorite Christian author is Lisa Turkhurst. I think she's writes some of the best like nonfiction Christian living books. So anyway, I'm currently reading a book about introverts. I myself am an introvert, so I'm really excited to see where that leads me. I've been enjoying it really a lot recently. So, but these are the 3 nonfiction books that I read. So now over to the fiction books that I read. In no particular order because these videos are always super long. The first one that I have here is Between Sisters by Kristen Hanna. She's the author of Fly Away. This is, I think, one of her, I guess, older books, or like one of the first books that she wrote. Does it say what year? 2003. So yeah, it's been a long time. And you can tell it's one of her first books because like her most recent books, maybe her last 4 books, have been amazing. This one was kind of like rushed. We go through a very long period of time between our main characters, and you kind of like just breeze through some stuff, some like heavy stuff too, that it doesn't have the same impact and punch to the gut as her other books do. And I think because of how her other books are written, while I was reading this book, I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it doesn't drop till very towards the end of the book. And so yeah, we follow 2 sisters, Megan and Claire, who are kind of separate in age. There's a big age gap between them. I think it's like 7 or 8 years. And due to something that happens in their life, they become estranged. They do kind of still keep in touch, but they don't have really that close bond, sisterly bond that, you know, some sisters have. And something happens to one of them, and it kind of tests their relationship moving forward with how they're gonna live their lives. There's a strange family dynamic that comes with what happened, you know, when in their teen years when they became separated or estranged. This is not, it's not as sad as her other books. I know she tends to have like some tearjerker of books, but again, like I said, time passes by so fast that you don't even, I feel like I didn't have time to get like attached to the characters or what they were going through. Didn't feel like it was that big a deal. I mean, not that it wasn't that big a deal, because it is some heavy stuff that they go through, but it just didn't have the same impact as her other books. The next book that I have here is The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. And first of all, I have been wanting to read this book for a long time because it had such great hype. And second of all, I didn't know this was a series. Like, nobody ever talked, or at least I don't remember anybody ever saying, oh, what a great start to the series. I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy, but all I know is that it's book 1. I didn't know it was book 1 until I added it to my Goodreads when I was reading it. And then I saw that there's like the second book just came out or is about to come out. I don't know. But anyway, we follow our main character, Lakshmi, in India in the 1950s. Lakshmi is a divorcee, which is the right word. And she escaped an abusive marriage, and she became, I guess, famous for her henna artistry, like her henna designs. And so she becomes really famous, you know, word of mouth spreads because her designs are very unique. And so she's kind of becoming someone of a person on her own with her designs. She has very famous clients like the royal family in India, and something throughout as her life is finally taking off and she's becoming financially dependent, almost about to buy a house. She kind of wants to send for her parents, who kind of shunned her once she got divorced because, I guess, due to the cultural differences, you know, being separated, being a single woman of a certain age without any kids, it's kind of frowned upon. So anyway, she's trying to save money to bring her parents to Jaipur. so they can be with her. Her parents pass away, and she finds out she has a sister, a teenage sister. And so we go from there, and we learn her story. It read super fast, and I'm gonna say I'm excited, but I am interested in reading the second book. We'll see how it goes from this book's ending. The next book that I have here is As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I really, really enjoyed this book. This is the third and I think final book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The first one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The second one is Good Girl, Bad Blood, I think. And this is the last one. This book is really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It takes off right after the events that were left off in the second book. So I can't really talk much about it other than she has a stalker in this book, and she's trying to find out who's sending her. It's not really a stalker. She's getting death threats. And so the police, don't believe her. They feel like, she's making a big deal out of nothing. All the clues that she has collected are kind of coincidence. They're not really directed to her, but they could have been sent to anyone. She just happened to have come across them first. So she decides to take matters into her own hands and find out who is the one who is sending her all these threatening letters. So really, really fun book, very engaging, a lot of twists and turns. And every time I was like, how I thought the book was going to end happened halfway through. So like for the second half of the book, I had no idea where the story was going. There were so many twists and turns. I really enjoyed it. This series as a whole is really, really good. Highly recommend if you guys haven't read them. You do have to read them in order. But yeah, I highly enjoyed this book. Highly recommend. Then I have here Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch. This is the sequel or follow-up to Love and Gelato, which I read last month. And it's kind of a companion book. There's 3 books, but I think each book follows a different story, and I don't think you necessarily have to read them. Although Lena from our first book does make an appearance here. Her appearance in this book is not, her plot line is not significant enough where you'd be lost and not know like what happened in her book. Like you could read these 2 books interchangeably, this one first and the other one second. So, but in this book we follow our main character Addie, who is visiting Ireland with her family for a family wedding. They're supposed to go to, her and her brother are supposed to take a kind of a trip to Italy to visit Lena. Since they're on that side of the world, might as well, take advantage of that. And so when they're about to take off to go to the airport to see Lena, her brother escapes with some guy that he met he became friends with some guy online. And they're gonna go kind of tour Ireland on their own, and he was supposed to do that, but then Addie found out when he was sneaking out. She saw him sneaking out, so she's like, no, I'm not gonna let you do that. You need to go to Italy with me because that was the original plan, or I'm gonna tell mom. And so she convinces him to join him and this new friend on a little road trip through Ireland, and we followed their adventures. I wanted to like this book, but I found Addie so annoying. The whole plan was to go through some sightseeing and then take her to the airport where she could go and take off and be with Lena, and then her brother and the friend would finish their little road trip. But of course, she doesn't make it to the airport on time, and she blames him for the fact that she can't go to Italy and see Lena. And there's a huge fight in here where she keeps blaming him that it's his fault. And I'm like, you are the one who wanted to join them. Stop blaming him for your decision to join them. You weren't invited to begin with. You invited yourself to their adventure, so you can't be mad. So I found her, and I feel like that argument went on for so long in the book that it was just super annoying. It's funny because I was reading this book while I was out on a run, and I can picture myself where I was like on my run, like on my route when I was listening to this book. So yeah, I liked it, but Love and Gelato is definitely better. The next book that I read is A Dog's Promise by W. Bruce Cameron. And look at that puppy that looks like Buddy. Look at that, look at that. This is totally a cover buy. I have read, I think, most of Bruce Cameron's books: A Dog's Purpose, A Dog's Journey, A Dog's Way Home, A Dog's Christmas, A Dog's Promise, and I just bought the most recent one, A Dog's, oh, I have it over here. Yeah, A Dog's Courage. So this is a story for dog lovers, and if you're a dog lover, you're gonna enjoy all of his books. We follow our main dog character, Bailey, who is adopted from as a puppy by a family, and we follow, you know, his life growing up and what he goes through with his new family, and ultimately ending in his death. And so all his books have made me cry, just because I'm a dog lover myself. And this book was specifically hard for me because, if you guys don't know or you don't remember, my dog Lexi died in February. She had lymphoma, and I wasn't home when she died. And I have mentioned this before. I've always felt very guilty that she died alone at home. And so the death scene that happens in this book, I don't think that's a spoiler because all the dogs die in his books towards the end. That's what kind of, you know, hurts your feelings at the end. But anyway, it just, like, the guilt came back as I was reading, you know, everybody, you know, comforting, getting together, making sure that the dog's comfortable. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like, Lexi didn't have that. She was by herself, probably scared. So this one, like, hurt me at a more personal, emotional level than I would have wanted to. But I still recommend all of his books. If you're a dog lover, dog person, you need to pick up W. Bruce Cameron's books. They are excellent. Then I have here Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. Alice Feeney is becoming one of my favorite, like, mystery thriller books, authors. This book is a mystery thriller. We follow a couple who is kind of going through a rough patch. We have the husband who is kind of he's an author. He's really into his art, which is writing. And then we have a wife who feels unfulfilled by her marriage because her husband's number one passion is his work, and then her. They're both very unlikable. They're both very unreliable. We follow different points of view here, different timelines, and you never know who committed the crime that happens in this book because they're both unlikable and unreliable. So the whole book, you're like, who committed the crime that happens in this book? Because you catch both the husband and the wife in different lies. You catch them going behind each other's backs, both of them doing it to each other. So you're like, who did it? This was an excellent book. I really enjoyed Alice Feeney's writing, and I think all her books are great. Highly recommend. Next book that I have here is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This book, we follow two sisters. It's another story of two sisters. We have Nora, who is a very famous, high-powered literary agent, and her sister, I can't remember her sister's name, who is, you know, married with kids. And so they decide to go on kind of an adventure trip down to North Carolina, to this little town, and they make a list of things that they want to accomplish while they're there. Because she is a literary agent, her sister makes the to-do list are like tropey things that happen in like trashy romance novels. And so she makes the list is for Nora to complete, because, you know, her sister, the other sister's married and with kids and stuff. This book was really fun. I really enjoyed it. The first book, People We Meet on Vacation, is the first book that I read by Emily Henry, and I didn't care for it. I just thought it was okay. This was a 180 turn from that other book. I highly enjoyed this book. I recommend it. This is another book that I read while I was running, and I can kind of picture my running as I was reading this book. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, highly recommend. The next book that I have here is Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. And I didn't care for this book. I feel like this book has had like really good reviews that I've seen around YouTube, and on Goodreads also it has excellent reviews, but it just didn't resonate with me. We followed two couples of friends, like a boy and a girl, two couples, yeah, and they're all unhappy. They're all kind of trying to fill this void with like sex and stuff, and they're not genuine people with each other, and they're just, yeah. This was kind of a depressing book because these four people are lost in the world. They don't know what they want. They feel empty themselves, and they're trying to fill the void with all these meaningless things. And it's just like they're trying to find the beauty in the world, but they just don't. And I just didn't relate to any of them, and I didn't like it. I really wanted to read Normal People by Sally Rooney, but after reading this book, I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to pick up any more books from her. And that's another book that's really, really popular from her. So we'll see. But I think I'm in the minority when it comes to liking this book because I didn't. And the last two books that I want to talk about are these two books. It's books 2 and 3 from, what is it called? The Poppy War, I think that's what it's called. Book 2 is The Dragon Republic, which I did read in September, now that I remember. And The Burning God, which I read in October. This one, I didn't talk about it in my September wrap-up because since I had jumped straight into the third book, I kind of wanted to review the series as a whole. That way I only talked about it once. So, like I said, this is book 2 and 3. So I can't talk much about it. All I can say is that The Poppy War is a book set in Eastern Asia, and we follow oh my gosh, Rin, is that her name? Yes, Rin's story. She comes from a very poor family where it was either an arranged marriage or she was going to have to find her way to get into this academy where she can be trained and join the army. Only the elite make it through the academy. She does make it, and she goes to war. And these two books are filled with gory, graphic violence from the war and everything that happens to prisoners and soldiers when they go to war. Bloody, gory, savage almost, very graphic, violent scenes, but man, is it good. Like, I feel bad saying that it's good because it's action-packed. The ending of the second book, The Dragon Republic, like, I literally gasped. Like, I can't believe the author did to the main character what she did. I can't believe the author did what she did to our main character. And the way that the third book ended, I did not see that ending coming. It really shred my heart to pieces. It's not a happy ending, but it's kind of like the spoils of war. Like, that's what happens when you go to war. And I think this, if I remember correctly, this is inspired by some sort of like Asian, is it Revolutionary War or Civil War or something like that. I wish I remembered a lot better, but I highly, highly recommend if you enjoy like historical fiction set in Asia or historical fiction overall, if you enjoy high action-driven plots, this is a really good one. Highly, highly recommend. So I had overall a really good reading month for October. We'll see how November goes. And that's it. This video is long enough. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you guys have read any of these and how you like them. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.